activity to put our people back to work. I believe it is important to be supportive of small businesses that benefit from the resurgent housing sector. The increased demand that will result from an extension of this credit will have positive effects on economic activity across many sectors, and there are a slew of options on the table to strengthen this credit, and we'll be studying all of them very closely. At a minimum, I think we should give deep consideration to extending the credit for at least another full year and also to increasing the credit's value. Those that would criticize increasing the credit's value because of the revenue cost to Treasury will do well to remember that increased activity in the housing market would result in increased activities elsewhere, increasing government revenues ultimately. Perhaps we might explore a credit to incentivize purchases in areas most affected by high foreclosure levels and take a look at adjusting the income eligibility for the credit. As I said, there are a number of options available to us. Let me be clear. Whatever we choose, we should study these options and make our decisions in an expedited fashion. People are hurting out there, and the extension of this credit would really be helpful. I look forward to working with my colleagues to act on this extension so that we can provide a shot in the arm to our economy. I want to thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for you, Mr. Jacob. In your statement, you say that the crisis is deeper and more profound than either you or your peers can remember, and it will take more than just a stimulus to help bring small businesses like yours back from this challenging place. I personally think we need to wait for the rest of the 60% of the stimulus dollars to come down the pipeline. But generally, do you feel that the federal government needs to be more active in helping small businesses? And do you think more federal government resources can be devoted directly to supporting small businesses?
Yes, I do. I think there's a couple of things. One is I discussed earlier about trying to get the stimulus money faster into the marketplace so it'll affect more people. Secondly, I'd like to look at how the Small Business Administration can provide, short-term bridge loans at very low interest rates that can be paid back at a later date, pushback date, so that businesses like mine can have enough money to make our expenses and get through this.
Okay.
And thirdly, it's getting the lending industry to lend the people who receive stimulus dollars to lend that money back into the private sector so we can stimulate projects going on.
Would the gentle lady yield?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Mr. Jacob, and when you mention about the Small Business Administration providing bridge loans, do you have an average number of the size of the loan that will be helpful?
I could probably tell you that. I can tell you what my firm would need. My firm probably needs between $25,000 and $35,000 a month right now in a bridge loan for expenses based on the revenues we have to keep paying our people. I want to keep salaries as high as you possibly can without having to cut more people. But that would be an example of what you would have. And as we see movement in the economy, I'm hopeful that there's going to be more revenue coming into our firm. But at this point, that would be the number.
So the Small Business Administration, would the gentle lady continue?
Yes,
to yield?
sure.
Thank you. Has a loan program that will provide $35,000 interest-free loan, and the person will have up to 5 years to start paying it. Did you hear about that program?
I think one of the things that we haven't done a good job on is getting that information into the marketplace. For those of us who don't normally utilize those resources as small business, and how do we get that information out would be my question of better communication on that regards.
Thank you.
Just very quickly, my question is to Ms. Valm. I believe that the construction sector is one of the most dynamic and effective for small business and job creation. Do you think that the federal government can do more to be supportive of firms in the construction sector? And what are your observations in that regard?
I think that the government has done a lot to support us. In Maryland, we have some programs that are available for women-owned businesses like mine or minority-owned businesses that have helped in the construction industry. I'm not quite sure what else they could do. We're seeing, so many of my friends, so many of companies that have folded and gone out of business and have lost employees. When you look at this tax credit, this $8,000 tax credit, and you realize the value of the housing industry, it is such a mover of this economy. The people that it affects, from from architects, designers, carpenter contractors, HVAC, plumbing, all the manufacturing. It is such, a mover of our economy that what would help? Let's extend this tax credit. Let's get people out here buying houses. Let's get people moving in this market. This is something that makes a huge difference to all of us. Trucking, we have to get these things to the houses, to the developments.
Okay.
We need that.
Time is
Yeah,
expired.
time is right.
Mr.
Thank you, Madam
Lukemire.
Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Robson, during your testimony, you talked about the number of homes that are in inventory out there that we've been able to bring them down as a result of the tax credit. Can you give me an idea how many excess homes we have in America right now that we need to get rid of?
Specifically, I've heard anywhere